Robin, and welcome to my Chicagoland backyard garden. I garden polyculture style and organically. My problem this year has been bunnies, so everything is fenced in, which is not quite a normal occurrence for my garden. But let me show you what's happening. These are my red ruby onions. They're doing very well. I've got some bunching onions. The one that's doing the best is the Ichikura. There's snapdragons and some lemon thyme. That is our favorite herb of all time. There's a mum and a lavender behind that. This is my berries crazy cherry, and it's the first of 12 tomatoes. It's doing very well. It gets the big trusses of yellow small tomatoes on it. So under this 50% shade cloth are lettuces. I've done that to see if we can't keep lettuces going for the whole season. This Paris Island Coss is doing very well. It hasn't bolted yet. And I've put in some new Marvel of Four Seasons about 2 weeks ago. But that's working very well. These are my dream onion. I did it for the first time last year. They're my Pattersons. As you can see, if you get up close, it is starting to bulb now. We've passed the summer solstice, and that's usually when I find mine start bulbing. This Patterson onion was my best storage onion. We just used the last of them from last year up about a month ago. Next to that, I've got some American flag leeks, and right now I'm nurserying the Mercurian leek. Those will go out when a spot clears up. Steve Digwell, Green Fingers, sent those to me from England. I had a King Richard leek come back, and so I knew it would bolt and give me seed, so that's what I'm letting it do. I had no idea that these were such majestic, gorgeous blooms in the garden. Pink, lovely. And behind the leeks is a tango lettuce that also came back from last year. It's bolting, so I'm going to save seed from that as well. So this is my little seed saving corner. I've already saved one grouping of this bunching onion that went to seed, but right next to it was another one that came up and flowered, so I'll save those seeds as well. Coming around the end here, we have some leftover small clove garlic. Will the Flying Gardener challenged everyone who wanted to join in to grow their small cloves to see what happened. So that's what I'm doing here at the end. Next to that, I've just thrown in some snapdragons. I've started up some Marvel of Four Seasons and a lettuce called Summertime. We'll see how well that does. I'm still nurserying some leeks and some bunching onions. Those will get pulled out and planted somewhere else as space frees up. These are my borlato beans, also called borlati beans. Underneath it, I chose to put 3 lettuces. Those are Marvel of Four Seasons, because I figured for the bulk of the day, these would shade that lettuce and see if I can't get more lettuce in the heat of the summer. These are doing marvelously. So next to the borlato are some charge that were completely nibbled down by the bunny rabbits, but they've come back marvelously, and as a matter of fact, we'll be able to take a harvest here this week. And just behind that to the left are a little batch of red onions I bought from the nursery because I wasn't sure that my red ruby were going to do it this year. I had so few germinate from seed, and they weren't doing well, but they're doing marvelously, and so are the ones I bought at the nursery. This tomato is a Santium Sunrise, and Steve over at Digwell Green Fingers also gave me that one. This is an Atomic Fusion. This is a Wild Boar Farm variety, and it's sort of an upgrade, if you will, of the Brad's Atomic. Maybe not an upgrade, but a more stable variety that does a little larger tomato and handles the weather and so forth a little better. This is my Dr. White Cheese. It makes a big yellow tomato, and I am just marveling at the stem on this thing. It is just huge. It's like a little trunk. And you can see I've already got tomatoes forming on there, so that's great. So up here in the front of that same bed, these are Walla Walla onions. Those are a sweet onion, and they're just now starting to swell and bulb. They should have a flavor something like the Ilsa Craigs that we did last year. At least I'm hoping. And I just threw in some snapdragons and some marigolds for color. Inside the middle of this bed is my favorite dill. This is Dill Ducat. It doesn't normally get this large. I don't know what's happened. It thinks it's a mammoth this year. So in the center bed on the big trellis is going to be a butternut called Butterscotch. It makes a smaller size butternut squash, so wanted to give that a go for the first time. Those are some Black Prince snapdragons up front. There are some peach ones that are in between there that haven't shown up yet. And these are new to me. This is a cherry bronze. It's a double snapdragon, so really showy heads on it. Back here are carrots that were eaten down by the black swallowtail caterpillars, which I enjoy. We enjoy having them in the garden. But then the bunnies came back and did a real number on them, taking them down to the nubs. But they're coming back, so I think I'll still get them. This is a Nantus variety. And this is a patch of calendula. I always like calendula in the garden because it typically attracts all the aphids to it, and the aphids leave other things alone. But so far, there's not been an attack on it. There was a bunny trying to build a nest in here, so we put a fence around the outside, and then I put a fence this way behind so I could get at these because they need to be deadheaded regularly. In this bed, I've got a Genovese basil, and it looks like I definitely need to harvest that today because it's starting to flower. That's a Lucid Gem tomato, and next to it is the Tim's Taste of Paradise. The Tim's Taste of Paradise is the only tomato that I'm doing for a second time. Everything else are new to me this year. It's actually the one that has really been struggling the most, but as I recall last year, it was kind of a puny guy right from the get-go, and then it was over 7 foot by the end of the summer. These are a new to me shallot called Red Sun. They've split very nicely, so I'm just seeing how long we can let them go and swell up. Obviously throwing in some snapdragons and marigolds for color. This is a patch of Utah tall celery. This is my favorite, and we use a lot of it. It freezes well. It makes excellent soup. In between the celery and the lettuce are some conservor shallots, which I did from seed. I do those every year. I just had a problem this year and I only have like 4 of them germinated. This is a Little Caesar lettuce, and it's doing well. This part of the garden is shaded for portions of the day because of the big trees behind me. This is celeriac that I just planted last week because the cabbages failed here, and it's what I had to throw in, and the leeks that I threw in at the same time. And even though the cabbages failed here, these are both thriving, so I don't know what was going on, if it was those ants that have vacated or not. In the front of that bed is radicchio. It's called Verona. It should turn red, theoretically, but it's looking awfully green right now. This is my punicura cucumber, and on this side is the Little Leaf OG cucumber. I did the punicura previously Allie over at My Rusty Garden had sent the seeds to me. But this one's new. It's supposed to be a little more disease resistant and so forth, which I need. So hopefully that does well. These are the last of my tomatoes in the main garden. The first one is a Resistimate pocketbook. That's the one that has all the little parts to it, and you can break it off without harming the big portion of the tomato. Steve sent that to me. I think that's got the fun factor all over. Allie sent me this one, and it was the first one to fruit up. It's the Castelluto Genovese, and I am very excited because it actually was one that I've wanted to grow for a lot of years. The next one is Mr. Tartar's German. We got this at a farm show. It makes enormous tomatoes. And it's kind of funny because unlike Dr. Wyche's over there, which has like a trunk for a stem, this one is not as strong. So we'll see if it has those big tomatoes on it or not. And this last one Steve also sent me. This one is a Britain's breakfast. So this one should be apparently good for making a full English breakfast. This is some leeks that I put in. I think I just had poor timing. I've lost several of them in the transplant, and I think it's because of transplanting them in this terrible heat wave. I've got a volunteer nasturtium, which has had the cabbage white butterflies on it. I'll insert a little video from the other day. So I was cleaning up my nasturtiums and I found some cabbage whites. This is what they look like, the cabbage white loopers, and that's what their ficus looks like. Yuck. And that is a hybrid zinnia that is supposed to be salmon color. Some other zinnias in the center and marigolds just for show. I did all of those marigolds from seed and saved them. Some of them are kind of unusual colors. Here are my badger flame beets. The squirrels have dug them up a couple of times. Poor guys are struggling, and of course it's something I'm very excited about growing. This is tango celery. It's also a very tasty one. We've done it for a couple of years now. Yum yum. Can hardly tell the leaf difference between the tango celery and the celeriac. But the celeriac is doing great, and it's actually starting to get some little heads forming down at the bottom, the root, which is the good part to eat. So that's what we want it to do. Pretty excited about that. And this is the lemon drop basil, our favorite. Just some flat leaf parsley because you can't have too much of that. And this oregano is called Bold and Spicy. It comes back every year. It's a Greek oregano. It has a lot of punch to it. Lovely. I've cut it way, way back right now. This is a cucumber called Crystal Apple from Nanu and Grinch over at plot number 9. It makes little lemon yellow round cucumbers. I'm excited. I've never grown something like that before. And next to it is Socrates, an F1, very disease resistant and very expensive seed. So I'm happy to have that in the garden because it's disease resistant. Here's some more of those bronze cherry F1 snapdragons doubles. Love them. They're gorgeous. We've got golden beets and Chioggia beets. I've harvested some out to make airflow, and they were delicious. In between the beets and the carrots, I've now put in fennel. So this row is little plugs of Tokyo long bunching onions. I love to do it that way. Plant a little group in a cell and then pop them in wherever you've got room developed in the garden. These are the red Florence Italian bunching onion. That's really good. If you leave them a little bit longer, you actually get a little bit of a larger bulb on them. These are all the Ulsa Craigs that I was able to germinate this year. I just boo-booed and needed to get new seed, I guess. So here's the sweet garlic. Very excited about these. I have sent seeds to multiple YouTuber friends and we're doing a little collaboration, growing them out and then cooking them and seeing if we like it. It's a new release from Row 7. They breed for flavor for chefs. So they work very closely with chefs. And this one was bred for its garlic quality. They bred the leek out for 10 years and released it this year to the public to try. So excited about those. This is the Anaheim pepper. And we've got a nice one coming right here. This has about 25,000 Scoville. Nanu and Grinch sent me that seed as well. And this is the hottest pepper that I'm growing, and I don't really know what I'm going to do with it because it has 100 to 150,000 Scoville. Thank you, Allie. So these are my favorite carrot, actually. We'll see though, that Bolero is very tasty. These are envy carrots. They're also an F1. I've done those for years. These beans are the dragon tongue. I've not done them before, but we're very excited because they're supposed to be incredibly flavorful. We call this the 7 urns. And in the first pot is some begonias. This is Karudashin carrots with mammoth basil. That's the kind that we should be able to do sandwich wraps with. This is a mini Marzano, and it's already got mini Marzanos coming on. That is Cracker Jack Marigold, which will be quite a show once they're all out. This is the new release from Wild Boar Farm called Golden Hour, and it is loaded with flowers. That's going to be very interesting. This is some dill that came from the Door County Seed Library. It was a mix, and some curly parsley, but I see it's already bolting without giving many fronds, so may not give that another chance. And the squirrel's favorite pot, and I see they were back at it again last night. So this is my largest bed of garlic. It's hardneck garlic, and it's coming fast this year. So I imagine that I am going to be harvesting this very shortly. It's dying back fast. These are a row of peppers in pots. This is a habanada. That is a habanero that is minus the heat. This is my Alma paprika. We've got some peppers forming here. I'm going to try my hand at making paprika this year. The next one is Sweet Ingrid, and that also has peppers forming on it now. After that are 2 Jimmy Nardello. So here's the star of the show. This is the only plant that I purchased at the nursery. It's a tiny plant. It's the Corono de Toro, the horn of the bull. Look at all the peppers that are on that already. It is just love and life. It was looking a little sad too when I purchased it. This is the lone brassica cage now. I've got some Black Magic kale back there, the lacinato type. In front here is our favorite. That's the little Scotch curly kale dwarf. And then these are kohlrabi, and they are just huge, but they're not getting a bulb at the bottom. It's like all leaf. So I think it might just have too much nutrition. This is where I did those Swedes for Danny's competition last year. And so there just might be too much nutrition in that soil. That's all I can think. This is the melon bed. I do them up over ladder mesh hoops that we've kind of jigged up a something that works to hold them. This is Kajari melon. I've not done that before. The little Cajo melons with the orange flesh inside are the ones I did from Allie last year. And then sugar baby melons. So we are all set for melons, we hope. as long as we can keep them away from the squirrels. These are the Greek gigantes that came from Will the Flying Gardener. Amazing. They've reached the top of the trellis and still climbing, and they're flowering like mad, both orange and white blossoms, and they've just been so gorgeous. So excited about these. Tried to purchase them for a few years now here in the US, and there are no sources of them that I can find anyway. So I appreciate getting them from Will. Here in the long bed, I've got lemon balm going on in this pot. The rhubarb, the shallots that were here I've taken out. This is mint that we love, the chives, and then just a pot of gorgeousness, because every garden needs a pot of gorgeousness. That is another patch of thyme, and this is where the soft neck garlic came out. I'll insert a picture of the harvest. That did very, very well. And next going in is going to be some mascot beans that Allie sent me. I've got germinating up on the patio. So this is black satin. Black satin had a lot of problems this spring. All of last year's vines, which would be this year's fruiting vines, basically died off. But all of the new growth was living, so the plant was healthy. Couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. We bought another black satin and planted it right next to it. And the last year's and the new one are both putting on some fruit. Up front here is a little Perpetua blueberry tucked in the front. On the other side of the arbor is a Chester, which has gone gangbusters, and I need to get at, and Al and I need to work and get it tied back into the arbor. Very shortly we will be putting up the cage over this arbor so that we can get the fruit and not the birds. Inside this arbor, it leads to the blueberries. Now, we had these in the main garden for a few years, and they didn't do well, even putting, acid fertilizer on them. We took them out, we put them in acid soil in these pots, ericaceous soil, and they are doing marvelously. We've harvested twice. Some of these berries are huge. Al, come have a little picture here. So this is potatoes. All these years gardening, never done potatoes, so this year was the year. These are Adirondack Blue, and they should be ready in about a month. This is more Adirondack Blues, which were planted later, so we'll have sort of a succession. And these are the ground cherries, Aunt Molly's. Normally, with all this heat, these things would take off. So I don't know if it's the soil in this pot or what, but there is actually a little ground cherry forming right there, if you can see it. A couple of them. Ooh, 3 of them. So the plants are healthy. It's just crazy. Normally they'd be up about here by now. They're just doing their thing this year. That's what plants do. This is the Chester. As you can see, it is very loaded with fruit. So we're very excited about that. It was a bumper year last year. It's going to be a good year this year. Not a bumper, but a good one. These are the Kennebec potatoes. They take longer than the Adirondack Blue. This is like 150 days or something, so it'll be the fall before we harvest it. I think, again, it's my first time. These are the top-notch wax beans. We fell in love with them, and so it was the first bean that I wanted to, the first bush bean that I wanted to get in for the year. These are the peanuts for Nanu and Grinch at plot number 9's peanut growing challenge. They're doing well. What these peanuts do, apparently, is these little blossoms here do something called pegging down. And when they hit the earth and they peg in, that's when we get the good growth of the peanuts. That's the point where the peanuts grow from. So it's an adventure for sure. This cage houses the strawberries and some additional blueberry plants. We have had the best year in a lot of years of strawberries, just picking like crazy. And honestly, the ones that just keep coming and going like crazy are these smaller variety. Don't even know what the name of it is because I picked it up at the big box store and it was just labeled strawberry, but they are huge. And the only way I can explain it is they have this strawberry candy flavor, strawberry jam flavor. Just an absolute burst of flavor. Loving them. That is our favorite for flavor of the blueberries. It's called pink lemonade. It's crazy though. You got to keep squeezing the blueberries and testing them if they come off because it's hard to know exactly when they are fully ripe. But we are just very happy this year. Very, very happy. This DIY planter has been fabulous, and the one at the back of the bed as well. If you'll recall, they cost us $20 to construct in total. That's the last of the first round of lettuces. We'll take it in the next couple of days, and it's made it through all this heat, as have all these plants, and I've just watered them once a day. I am so pleased with this set of planters. There's our new gooseberries, and there's a couple on that plant over there that are getting close to ready. This is our little North Star cherry tree. Gave us a fantastic amount of cherries this year. And the new rose bushes, so fragrant, so lovely. They're sort of in a down cycle right now, but I'll get them trimmed up and they'll come right back at it. Need to fill in a couple of blank spots here where I took some bolted lettuces out, but I have had good luck so far with everything that's been planted in here. That parsley's loving life, as are all the flowers. In the other bed, that tree just gave us so many cherries this year. It was a banner cherry year for us. These currants have a couple on there that are getting close to being able to taste test. And that's a Montauk daisy up in the front. I'm so glad you wanted to spend some time with me today in my garden. This is the edible portion. I'm going to do one of the flowers as well, but this is getting so long, I think I'll end it here. Remember, sometimes the only thing we harvest is knowledge, and that's okay. Bye for now. We'll see you on the next.